Hello everyone, I'm George from Ireland. So welcome back to my channel, and this is about Madame Tussaud. So Madame Tussaud lived in this house behind me. Above my thumb you can see the blue plaque. She was born in 1761 in Strasbourg, France. So that's the Alsace-Lorraine region of France, the very eastern edge of the kingdom. And she had a maiden name. It was something like Westenholz, a decidedly Germanic one. Because it's right beside Germany. The river Rhine flows through it, and some people would say that the Alsatians are neither French nor German but Alsatian. But she grew up speaking French more. Her father had been a French army officer and had been killed in the 7 Years' War, which was ongoing during her lifetime. In the United States, that's known as the French and Indian War. Anyway, her mother never re-wed, but they moved to Bern, Switzerland, a German-speaking canton. Well, it was really bilingual, but more German-speaking, the capital of Switzerland. And her mother was a housekeeper to a local physician, Dr. Curtius. I don't know if it was Curtius, but he was something of a father figure to her. So they're very well treated. And he had a sideline in making wax imagery of people. So she picked up this enthusiasm from him, and she began fashioning wax images of people from the age of 16. So she and this man, Dr. Curtius, they later moved to Paris, where he carried on his medical practice, but also his trade in making wax images. Of course, things were very laxly licensed back then. If you called yourself a physician, well, more or less you were one. You could practice in another country if people were willing to pay to be your patients. So he was very eminent in both fields, and he attracted the eye of the king. So according to Madame Tussaud, she was invited to Versailles, which was the royal court 10 miles west of Paris, to make wax likenesses of various distinguished personages, including royalty. Now, how much of this is true is a matter of some conjecture, because really I have only word for it. There's no independent confirmation. So this bragging may have just been a lie to try and big up her reputation. She claimed that she was very close to various others. Certainly, Dr. Curtius had made an image of Madame du Barry, who was Louis XV's maîtresse en titre. And Madame Tussaud, she said that she was privy to gossip between King Louis XVI and his sister Elizabeth. There is some evidence that she knew that Princess Elizabeth a little bit. But then the revolution broke out, and suspicion fell on her. She thought to be a counter-revolutionary. I don't think she was particularly political, but suspected of being a reactionary. So she was arrested along with Joseph de Beauharnais, later the wife of Napoleon Bonaparte, and they briefly shared a cell in a prison. And their locks were shorn preparatory to a date with the guillotine. But fortunately for them, they were not made a head shorter, and she later regained her liberty. She married an engineer, and his surname was Tussaud, so that's how she got that surname. So she was hired to make these wax images of a lot of the most famous victims of Dr. de Guillotin's invention. So people no longer wanted simply a death mask, they wanted a life-size image, and she would take all the measurements and try and make it as realistic as possible. And some of these are frighteningly realistic. Other times they failed to capture them. So she had 3 children, but her daughter died as an infant. Her 2 sons were sturdy lads and lived to a very ripe old age. So later, at the Peace of Amiens, she moved to this country. There was that 1-year interval of peace between the United Kingdom and France, 1801 to 1802. But neither side seemed to be particularly committed. They both accused each other of breaking it in spirit, if not in the letter of it, and making preparations for a renewal of hostilities. Anyway, she shifted to the United Kingdom, living here in London, where she again plied her trade, and she displayed her waxworks at the Lyceum Theatre in London, various other places around London. And but financially she was not such a success. She later shifted to Edinburgh. I'm not quite sure why. There'd be much less of an audience there. I know the cost of living was lower. She lived there for several years before finally returning to London, and was a well-known society figure by the time she died in 1850 at a very great age. And she's memorialised by a plaque in this Catholic church in Cadogan Street, which is Chelsea, just off Sloane Square. So Her collection of waxworks went on display near Baker Street, where it remains to this day. There's often a long queue, and all sorts of famous figures, pop stars, royalty, politicians have their images there. You can even pay for a sum of something like £20,000 to have your image made, and they'll have it whatever is the most characteristic attitude, dressed in clothes which are most associated with you. So these are public icons, these people, and some of them are just staggeringly realistic. Other times they've just failed to capture people. Their image of Margaret Thatcher somehow wasn't her, but their likeness of John Major was so realistic that when he stood beside it, if he was stock still, you would be hard put to guess which was the dummy and which was the real one. I suppose he's a bit of a grey waxwork himself at the best of times. So indeed, that's where she lived. So she obviously wasn't short of a few pennies, living here in St John's Wood, this very leafy part of London. There's no forest left, despite the name St John's Wood. We're just down the road from Lord's Cricket Stadium, just out of sight. You can't see it over there. This decidedly affluent area. Okay, so you can go to Madame Tussaud's, see all her works. There's quite a long queue, so book in advance. So please follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and make donations with the greatest liberality to me on PayPal, georgecallahan79@gmail.com. Callahan spelled C-A-L-L-A-G-H-A-N. And I do online lessons in history, politics, French, religious studies, citizenship, English language, English literature, English as a foreign language, geography, law, anything of that nature. For people going up to 13 plus, do things like maths and science. All right, toodaloo.